Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something I've learned the hard way. Life doesn't change because you talk about it. Life changes because you do something about it. And if you really want to see that change, you got to learn to do two things. Focus on yourself and stay silent. That's it. Two things. But they're the hardest things to do. It's survival. In a world that constantly wants your attention and pulls us in every direction, demands our time, energy, and emotions. Focusing on oneself becomes not just a luxury, but a requirement. People often confuse self-care and personal growth with being self-centered. But the truth is, you can't pour into others if you're running on empty. Imagine trying to light up someone else's path with a burned out candle. You can't give light when you're in darkness. Focusing on yourself means recognizing that your mental, emotional, and spiritual health must come first. It means setting boundaries even when people don't like it. It means saying no to things that no longer serve you and yes to things that help you grow, even if they make others uncomfortable. We are often conditioned to believe that prioritizing ourselves is somehow wrong or arrogant, especially if you come from a background where sacrifice is glorified. But there's a difference between being selfish and practicing self-respect. Selfishness is taking without giving. Self-focus is giving to yourself so you can give to the world. When you focus on yourself, you begin to notice the areas of your life that need healing. You start to recognize the toxic habits, the relationships that drain you, the lies you've been telling yourself, and the more you face those things, the more power you gain over them. Growth is not loud. It's often quiet, lonely, and deeply personal. You won't get applause for working on yourself. You won't get validation for setting boundaries. But what you will get is clarity, strength, direction. The moment you shift your energy inward, everything begins to change. You stop living on autopilot and start living with purpose. You stop comparing your journey to someone else's and start honoring your own pace. You stop blaming the world and start taking accountability. And that's when things begin to align, opportunities show up. The right people enter your life. Doors open not because you chased them, but because you became the person who naturally attracts them. This kind of transformation doesn't happen when your attention is scattered all over the place. It happens when you make a deliberate decision to turn down the noise of the world and listen to your own need. Focusing on yourself also teaches you patience. You learn that you don't have to rush anything. You don't have to prove anything. You just have to be present, intentional, and true to who you are becoming. It's easy to get caught up in the speed of life, to feel like you're falling behind, especially in the age of social media where everyone seems to be ahead. But when you focus inward, you understand that your journey has its own timeline. You don't need to match anyone else's. Your growth, your healing, your success, it all unfolds at the pace that's meant for you. This mindset of self-focus changes how you respond to everything. You no longer take things personally because you know your worth isn't defined by someone else's opinion. You stop seeking approval because you've already approved of yourself. You stop overexplaining, oversharing, overcompensating. You just live. And you do so with confidence and peace. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean cutting off the world. It means returning to yourself over and over until your choices are no longer made from fear guilt, or insecurity, but from self-awareness, love, and truth. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about removing everything that's not you. That's not selfish. Silence is survival. In a world where everyone is shouting to be heard, the quiet ones often go unnoticed until they don't. There's something undeniably strong about a person who can move in silence, who doesn't need validation, who doesn't feel the urge to announce every intention or defend every choice. Society has trained us to believe that visibility equals progress, that unless we're broadcasting our lives, we must not be doing anything meaningful. But the truth is, the most significant changes in life often happen in private. Silence gives you space to build, gives you space to think, to plan, to heal, to execute, without the pressure of outside opinions. When you keep your goals to yourself, you remove the expectation. You take away the audience. And when there's no audience, you're free to grow without fear of judgment or failure. Speaking less doesn't mean you have nothing to say. It means you're wise enough to know that not everything needs to be said. Silence teaches you to listen, not just to others, but to yourself. You begin to notice the inner voice that gets drowned out in noise. You start to become more aware of your emotions, your patterns, your reactions. You start to understand your own motivations. And with that understanding comes power. Because when you know yourself, you become harder to manipulate, harder to discourage, harder to distract. Silence becomes your shield. It protects your energy. It guards your dreams. It allows you to step back and observe. And in that observation, you gain clarity. There's also an element of mystery in silence. When people can't figure out what you're doing or thinking, they begin to respect your presence differently. They stop underestimating you because you're no longer predictable. You become someone who can't be read easily, and that in itself is a kind of power. It shifts the dynamic. People begin to pay closer attention, not because you demand it, but because your restraint commands it. And in a world full of noise, that kind of discipline is rare. It's powerful to walk into a room and say little, but still be felt. It's powerful to achieve quietly and let your results do the talking. It's powerful to know your worth without needing to broadcast it. When you live in silence, you also create space to hear from a higher source, whatever that may be for you, whether it's faith, intuition, or inner wisdom. Silence opens the channel for deeper connection. You can't hear direction in chaos. You can't hear purpose through constant distraction. But in the quiet, everything becomes clearer. You realize what truly matters. You recognize what you need to let go of. You reconnect with your vision. And that vision grows stronger when it's nurtured in silence. Not every seed grows under the sun. Some need darkness to take root. There's a discipline that comes with silence. It takes strength to not react, to not respond, to not engage when everything inside you wants to be heard. But that discipline builds character. It builds resilience. It teaches you to pick your battles and conserve your energy for things that actually matter. You start to value your peace more than your ego. You stop wasting time arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop explaining yourself to those who don't even listen. You move differently. You choose your words with care. You speak when it's necessary and impactful, not just to fill the air. And because of that, when you do speak, the world respects results, not noise. In a time where appearances matter more than substance to many, it's easy to get caught up in the illusion that constant talking, posting, sharing, and updating is the same as making progress. But real progress doesn't require an announcement. The people who are truly changing their lives aren't doing it for attention. They're doing it for transformation. You can talk about success all day long, but until you show something real, until something shifts, the world won't listen. It doesn't care how loudly you speak if you have nothing to show for it. The noise might get attention, but attention doesn't equal respect. Results do. Consistent effort does. Growth that can't be denied, even in silence, earns more honor than empty declarations ever will. Talking about your plans might feel satisfying in a moment. It gives you a rush. It feels like action, but it's not. It's just talk. And sometimes that talk becomes a substitute for the work itself. It becomes a trap, a way to make ourselves feel accomplished without actually doing the hard part, the grind, the discipline, the patience, the setbacks. That's the part that earns results. That's the part people don't always see because it happens behind the scenes. It's what separates the dreamers from the doers. The world won't hand you respect just because you say you're going to do something. It waits, it watches, and then it reacts when the results become undeniable. There's power in doing what you said you would do, not once, but day after day, when no one is watching. There's value in building quietly and making progress without the constant need for approval. When your life starts to show the results of your effort, better habits, a stronger mindset, real achievements, people take notice, not because you demanded their attention, but because your life became a reflection of the work. That kind of impact speaks for itself. You don't have to say a word. The glow up becomes your voice. The peace in your life becomes your answer. The discipline in your routine becomes your proof. And when people see that, when they see the change in how you live, they start to listen in a way they never did before. The world respects action because action creates value. Anyone can speak dreams into the air, but only those who act on them bring those dreams into reality. Results show that you didn't just wish for it, you worked for it. And that's something people can't ignore. You might be underestimated at first. People might doubt you, mock you, overlook you, but when the results start coming in, those same people will begin to change their tune. That's why you have to stay focused and stay committed. Even when it feels like nobody sees you, they will. Eventually, they will. Results are the ultimate proof that something inside you refused to quit. They show that you honored your goals even when it was hard, even when it was lonely. They reveal a level of integrity, determination, and perseverance that goes deeper than words. And over time, people come to respect that. Not because you said you would, but because you did. You didn't try to impress anyone. You tried to improve yourself. And an improvement made the noise for you. That's why the loudest people often fade away, while the most consistent ones rise quietly and last. You don't have to be the most vocal to be the most respected. You just have to be the one who never gave up and never stopped working. Energy is limited. Invest it in your vision, not in distractions. Every single day you wake up with a certain amount of energy. It's not infinite. It's not guaranteed. It's a resource. And like all resources, how you spend it determines what you get in return. Too many people waste their precious energy on things that bring them nothing but stress, drama, confusion, and delay. They argue over opinions, chase people who don't value them, scroll endlessly through other people's lives, and react emotionally to every small trigger that comes their way. By the time the day ends, they wonder why they feel so empty, unmotivated, and behind. It's not because they lack time, it's because they gave their energy to the wrong thing. You have a vision, or maybe it's just a seed of one. It might be unclear or still forming, but it's there, pulling at you, whispering that your life is meant for something more. That vision needs fuel to grow. It needs your attention, your focus, your consistency, and most importantly, your energy. When you give your best energy to distractions, people who drain you, arguments that don't matter, habits that numb you, you're stealing from your future. You're taking the power meant to create something beautiful and throwing it into chaos. And the truth is, most distractions don't even come from the outside, they come from within. They come from our lack of discipline, our emotional reactions, our inability to say no, and our addiction to comfort. Protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's essential. If you don't manage your energy, someone else will. They'll use it for their benefit, not yours. That's why you've got to be intentional. You've got to start your day knowing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Is it helping you grow? Is it part of your vision? Is it making you better? If not, it's stealing from your purpose. There are people out there who would rather see you stuck in the same cycle because your growth makes them uncomfortable. There are distractions disguised as opportunities, conversations that look harmless but leave you feeling drained, and habits that feel good for a moment but rob you of long-term success. Your vision requires energy because building anything worthwhile takes work. It takes emotional strength to stay focused when things get hard. It takes mental discipline to keep showing up when nobody's clapping for you. It takes physical energy to put in the hours, push past comfort, and do the thing even when you don't feel like it. If your energy is being scattered in all directions, you won't have enough left for what matters. And then you'll start to believe you're stuck or unlucky or that your dream isn't working. But it's not the dream, it's the energy leak. This world is full of noise, and every piece of it is trying to grab your attention. Notifications, opinions, fake urgency, emotional bait. It's all designed to pull you away from your focus. But you get to choose what you respond to. You get to decide what gets your attention. And the more you choose your vision over your distractions, the more progress you'll make. You'll feel it. You'll see it. You'll start to notice the shift, not just in what you're achieving, but in how you feel. More peace, more purpose, more progress. Because now your energy is going where it's supposed to go. It's building something instead of reacting to everything. You don't need more time. You need to guard your energy like your future depends on it, because it does. Every great achievement starts with a clear focus and undivided energy. Growth needs isolation. It's a truth most people don't want to face because isolation feels uncomfortable. It feels lonely, quiet, and unfamiliar. But what many don't realize is that the greatest transformations often happen in the moments when we are separated from distractions, from noise, from the opinions of others. When you're constantly surrounded by people, always in conversation, always being pulled in different directions, it becomes difficult to hear your own thoughts, to reflect on your actions, or to confront your truths. Isolation provides the space you need to face yourself honestly. It creates the environment for real inner work, the kind that can't be done when you're busy trying to keep up with the world. Most people are afraid of isolation because they think it means being forgotten or left behind. What if being alone is the only way to become who you're meant to be? When you step away from the crowd, from the expectations, from the comparisons, you start to notice things. You begin to understand what truly matters to you, not what others have told you should matter. You begin to process your experiences, your failures, your trauma, your dreams. You have the chance to see where you've been lying to yourself, avoiding your purpose of staying stuck in old patterns. And while that kind of honesty is hard, it's also the doorway to growth. When you're in isolation, you begin to tap into a deeper part of yourself. You begin to uncover strength you didn't know you had. You learn to become your own supporter, your own motivator, your own guide. It forces you to stop relying on the opinions of others to validate your path. Instead of asking if you're good enough, you start deciding that you are. You begin to build a relationship with yourself, and through that relationship, you grow. You begin to appreciate your own company. You become comfortable with your thoughts, your silence, your stillness. And from that place, you begin to evolve. Growth doesn't come from constant noise or attention. It doesn't come from staying busy for the sake of it. It comes when you have the courage to stop, sit with yourself, and do the deep work. You can't fake growth. You can't perform healing. You have to go through it. And isolation allows that. It creates a space where no one is watching, where you can be vulnerable, where you can cry, break, rebuild, and rise on your own terms. That solitude becomes sacred. It becomes the soil in which your next version is planted. And just like seeds grow underground in the dark, you begin to grow in your own darkness. Slowly, quietly, powerfully. Isolation also helps you detach from external pressures. When you're alone, there's no competition, there's no rush. It's just your pace, your path, your purpose. You no longer need to meet anyone else's expectations because you finally understood your own. You become grounded in your identity, and that identity no longer sways with the trends, with opinions, or with comparison. That kind of clarity is rare, and it only comes when you're willing to embrace time in that space. You begin to shift. You start thinking differently. You act with more intention. You move with more peace. You begin to recognize distractions for what they are and no longer let them control you. People may not understand your distance, and that's okay, because you're not distancing yourself to disappear. You're stepping back to grow. You're pulling away so you can return stronger, wiser, and more focused. Growth needs isolation because transformation requires room. Room to stretch, to struggle, to let go, and to step into the next level of yourself. Don't explain your process. Focus, build, and let life unfold through your discipline. One of the greatest mistakes people make on their journey to success and self-mastery is trying to constantly explain themselves to others. They feel this need to justify every move, every decision, every change they make. But not everyone deserves access to your process. Not everyone will understand your reasons, your timing, or your vision. And they don't have to. When you're working on something real, something personal, Something transformative. The last thing you need is outside noise clouding your clarity. The more you explain, the more room you create for opinions, doubts, and distractions. People will start projecting their fears onto your journey. They'll try to talk you out of it, convince you to take the safer route, or pressure you into being who they want you to be.